Hi, my name is Brandon Sewell. I'm the owner of Seal Pro Painting and the host of the Off the Ladder podcast. And we exist to help home service business owners learn so that they can lead well and ultimately live life off of the ladder. I'm excited to have today's guest. His name is Derek Cormier, and he is the owner and founder of Climate Experts. They're based right here on the Space Coast in my market. I'm excited to have you here today and jump into this conversation. If you could, really quick, Derek, for my listeners, just tell them a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, for sure. So, first off, thanks for having me on the podcast. And a little bit about me. I grew up in this area. I went to high school on the Space Coast. I moved down to South Florida and I was a police officer for 5 years in Hollywood, Florida. I grew up in a construction family. My dad was a GC, wanted me to take over the family business. I said, no way. Became a cop. Missed Melbourne and the Space Coast. So, ended up moving back home. Cops were not paid enough here. So I went back into the trades. I worked for a lot of companies here that just had poor culture, no growth, no real career path. So I started with one truck, Climate Experts, in 2016. Just me and a truck off of Craigslist, running calls off of Craigslist when that was a thing. And we doubled every year since we started. And I think we're at about 70 employees now. And we do three trades. We started out with HVAC. I was the Class A license holder. I got my plumbing license in 2023 and just got our electrical license. So we now do all three trades. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. Wow, what a testament to what's possible. 10 years in business and you've accomplished a lot. So that's really awesome. I'd love to dive into that. One of the things that we just briefly talked about before the show is professionalism in the trades. And obviously, that's a conversation that I've been a part of more times than I can count. Um, and it's a topic that comes up, just really often, whether you're talking about, I think the trades that really have the spotlight on them are trades like yours, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, because you guys have professionalized more than other trades, right? There's a lot of trades out there where the professionalism is lacking. And the biggest problem that I see is that there's too much like pointing and not enough accountability and ownership that's taken by the ones that can make the difference, right? So the reality is the same people that are complaining are the same ones that have the power to make the change, but nobody does it. So it's kind of frustrating. And I'm unfortunately in one of those trades that I would say is like maybe in the middle. Like there is some level of professionalism, but because there's such a low barrier to entry for painting, there is just, it runs rampant of the lack of professionalism. And so I'd love for you to jump in and talk about your perspective, right? So how do companies or sorry, trades or businesses that maybe aren't in the same place as HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, do you have any advice or insight into things that we could learn from what HVAC, plumbing, and electrical has done well, and things that we could implement, and other trades that listen to this, what they could implement to make their business better?
100%. I mean, no matter what trade I was in, I would have a standard,
Hmm.
right? You need to set a standard for yourself. And what I typically see is if the leader of the business doesn't set the standard, like if you show up to work in a t-shirt and sandals, you're setting the standard for your company. And don't get me wrong, I did that in the first probably 4 years. I'm a surfer. I surf.
Okay, awesome.
And I would show up to interviews. I saw the background. I would show up to interviews in sandals and a t-shirt. And people thought it was cool. They thought it was fun, but it wasn't really a place that people respected to work at. It was a place where they had fun. And that's kind of where our culture shifted to where it's always been a fun place to work and a good culture. We smile, we laugh, we get along. But as we've gotten more professional, there's more accountability. There's more knowledge. When people call us and have us do their work, they know we're going to do the right thing. We have a
Hmm.
process in place. So really how you show up, how your business looks customers are going to be judging you based on like, that's how the job's going to go. Okay, do these guys have a process? Do I have to worry about getting the right person at my home, or can any employee from that company come and do the job right? Like, can I negotiate pricing? If your pricing's not set and you don't have a structure and a standard for that, that's also an issue, because they're just going to negotiate with you constantly. They're not going to respect your price. And really, that's because there's no value. You didn't figure out a way to build value. And that starts with how you look, how your company looks, how your brand looks. So whether I'm in painting, concrete work, landscaping, whatever it is, I'm going to have a very professional image. First off, I'm going to have a standard of how all my employees need to look. Like, sure, they could have beards, but they have to be trimmed. You know, their
Hmm.
hair can't be everywhere. If they're going to wear hats, it's going to be a company hat. My uniform actually has to look professional. So if we're going into your home, I see us kind of as an advisor. Like, all my employees have to wear polos that are service technicians, project managers, and our installers are the only ones that can wear t-shirts that still can't have rips, holes, tears, mastic paint on them.
Hmm.
Because again, they're in attics that are 150 degrees. So each role has a specific uniform that they have to abide by. And it's a standard, just like in the military, like there's a standard. So I think any trade, no matter what, can at least come up with some sort of standard. I don't think you need to wear the full buttoned up white polo with long sleeves and slacks. I mean, I know we live in Florida,
Hmm.
but you need to set some sort of standard. And I think it's just an excuse that we hear from a lot of tradespeople that, oh, if you look too dressed up, you're a salesman. You don't
Hmm.
really know the trade. You're just a sales guy. We hear it all the time.
Right.
And it's really interesting to me because without sales, you have no work.
Hmm.
I don't care how tough you are, how good you are at the trades, how skilled you are. If
Yeah.
there's no sales being done, you don't have jobs to work with your hands. So I think in the trades, we look at sales as this negative thing, and it's not, right? The better you are at communicating, everything is sales, literally every interaction. Even if you're an installer, you, sales is involved. So I think we need to get out of this perspective that if you look too clean cut, if you look too professional, you're a salesman. No,
Hmm.
I am a Class A licensed HVAC contractor. Most of you guys have EPAs. Like, I can do any install myself. I could do the work today, inside and out. I could take any technical support call over the phone and handle it.
Hmm.
So that excuse is out the window, right? That doesn't mean you're a salesman if you're dressed professionally. So I think we just need to raise the standard. And I think because a lot of the guys that get into the trades are the tough ones that have hard skin, that are willing to do the hard things, right? Work in the 150-degree attic. I think that we allow the unprofessionalism a little bit more, because when you get a hard skin, you're not as aware of,
Hmm.
how you look or how you sound. So yeah, I think that's just an excuse, honestly.
Yeah, that's good. So a follow-up question to that, you said initially in like that first few years, even yourself, you were like a little bit more, loose with the standard. And then obviously you adjusted that over time. I think because I've even experienced this as myself, like my business goes through like natural progressions as I'm learning and working on myself as the owner. My business naturally goes through these seasons of growth or professionalism, or the standard changes or increases. Can you speak for yourself and your experience? How did your team adjust to the standard or that bar being raised, where maybe I would assume you might have had team members who were there when the standard was maybe a little bit more relaxed, and then you had to like tighten it down a little bit. Can you just share a little bit about that, maybe leadership side of that, and how you manage the team and the culture that way?
It's a great question. And, it's funny when you think about it. Back then, the environment was way too comfortable. Results didn't look good. Our numbers didn't look good.
Hmm.
Everyone wasn't making amazing money. We had callbacks, right? When everything's a bit too comfortable and there's not standards, like, why would people do extra work if they're not being held accountable? Like, it's just
Right.
logic, right?
Hmm.
Facts over feelings is something I say every day. This is business, right? Facts over feelings. So if you're running your business on feel, right? Well,
Hmm.
this feels really good, this culture, then you're just going to be set up for failure. So in the beginning, I ran my business off of feel, 100%,
Hmm.
completely off of feel. Like, oh, this feels nice. This feels good. And as I started to make mistakes and look at my P&L, and, the profit wasn't there, and the numbers weren't there, and employees that weren't working out, weren't following process. You just wanted to show up and do what they wanted to do, be cowboys and run their own process out there. I'm like, okay, why is this happening? So I visited other shops. I mean, that's the first thing I do. I don't know it all. I'm constantly
Mm-hmm.
getting ideas from all different types of companies. So I visited other shops that were a little bit bigger than me, because I've been to the 50 million, $100 million shops, and it's just way too far ahead to actually implement all those things. So I go to shops that were a little bit bigger than me, and I'd be like, okay, what are they doing well? And I'd find ones that actually were doing well, right? Profitable. The things that I wasn't doing good at, I would look for shops that were doing those things. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
going to look for the happy, good culture shops. I was going to look for the financially successful shops. And what did I see out of all those shops? They had standards, they had
Mm-hmm.
accountability. Everyone was wearing uniforms. Literally, if any employee walked into their shop, they had to put booties on to walk in their own shop. Every time they made their employees put booties on to get them in the habit of that's what you do when you're in a customer's home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, if you're going to set the standard of this is how employees have to dress and act in your shop, they're definitely going to do it in the employee's home. If you don't set that standard, they can wear backwards hats, t-shirts with ripped holes, whatever shorts they want, bright pink sneakers. What do you think they're going to be doing in the customer's home? And what do you think the customer's going to think when you're looking to charge all of this money and this person's got their hat backwards and it looks like they just got up and they're not very professional? Like, they're going to be like, no way, dude. And then they call someone out that actually looks like a grown-up, an adult, with a polo shirt tucked in, belt, slacks, looks clean, has a tool belt, has a process, communicates well. I mean, that's what people want. I designed this basically because as a police officer, I know no families want anyone in their home that are someone you can't trust, or that's someone that is going to make you feel unsafe. And that
Mm-hmm.
is what you hear in the trades, is people just don't feel safe with tradespeople in their house. So I said to myself, I need to create, an employee that is going to be professional, background checked, that is going to keep the homeowner safe. That's my number one priority, that they're not going to take advantage of the homeowner or hurt the homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
And that is completely different from how our industry is designed.
Yeah. It's funny. I was going to ask you, I had written down to ask what was your, inspiration to professionalize. And you mentioned going and visiting, the shops that are where you want to be or more successful and implementing what they are doing. Are there any other inspiration or resources that you would be able to, recommend or refer to somebody who is looking at their business and saying, hey, these are I know there's a problem. I need to address this, but they just need some type of resource to help them, know how to implement it. Are there, podcasts or thought leaders or books or anything like that that you would recommend to the audience to check out that maybe helped you in your journey?
Yeah. So the first thing is a best practice group. And I mean, every trade may or may not have one. In HVAC, plumbing, and electric, there's some pretty good ones. We're a part of one called Nexstar. So they literally, I joined them about 2020, I believe. So I think about 4 years after. And I didn't know business, right? I didn't know the structure. I was just a technician that started my own business. So they literally gave me the structure. And that's what gave me the ability to visit these shops without it being awkward. Like, we're
Hmm.
all part of this best practice group. They would literally set me up with a shop that I can go visit. And
Right.
because everyone was trying to follow a good model, like Nexstar took the 1,000 best HVAC, plumbing, and electric companies in the country. They're all in the same group, and then they do research on what works for each company in each market. And then they created a system that works for all of those companies. So this is proven based on analytics, right? They're going to look at their P&Ls, they're going to look at their operations. So once I joined that, it forced me to professionalize. I didn't have a choice. I was paying for this
Hmm.
membership. Anytime you pay for something and you don't do what it's wanting you to do, you are wasting money. So like, it's just like
Yeah.
coaching too. Like, if you get a coach, it's honestly sometimes worth it just because you're going to want to get your money's worth out of it. Books, there's a really good book called The E-Myth. Um, and they have a version for HVAC that I really liked. And it's a really good business book for someone that does not have business knowledge, that talks about kind of how to grow your business and how to run your business. Another book that I really like, it's called Bent: How to Win Back a Wayward Team. Those are two big books as I was growing that really gave me some good realizations. E-Myth was more about the business model. Bent was more about a good employee. What I thought a good employee was not what a good employee was. Like, and it actually teaches you how to grade employees, coaching up versus coaching out, how to hire properly. And yeah, I'd really recommend that. And there's a lot of podcasts that I listen to that I'd recommend. One that if you're looking for, in the trades, kind of some sales trades podcasts, I really like Waste No Day. Brian Burton runs that. It's a really good podcast. It's it's more towards plumbers and HVAC and electricians, but anyone in the trades that kind of goes into a home and sells really could listen to this podcast. I mean, technicians, owners, it's a really good podcast. They have all types of guests. They do live role playing on the podcast. And what I like is it's not just like sell to sell. It's like, take care of the customer, do the right thing, provide value. So those are some resources that I think would really help people professionalize their business.
That's good. Now, if you don't mind, jump into this because I think some people listen to what you're saying, right? And they're inspired to professionalize, right? They see the problem and they know they have to address it, but maybe they have some like fears or reservations of like I know, or they're like they've kind of already assumed or created in their mind the issues or the problems that they're going to face when they try to do that. If you could, would you be able to share with the audience maybe what some fears you had of like professionalizing or growing your business, and maybe the things that like just kind of bring some reality that hey, I feared this, but once I did it this was the benefit and how it really worked out, and maybe some of those myths that like you had to like overcome in your mind and how they actually played out, if that makes sense.
This is a great question. Yeah. So my biggest fear was always employees were to quit because they were hard to get. They were extremely
Right.
difficult to get in the
Yeah.
trades. I mean, in HVAC, we're going into really hot attics. We're doing duct work. Like, it's
Hmm.
not fun work. It's dirty work. Like, an
Right.
installer, it's a tough job in HVAC. Nothing about it is easy. So it's really hard to get those employees and then train them. You know how much money you have to invest in these employees to train them? They don't come trained. There's no good trade schools in Brevard County or in Orlando. Like, so you're getting brand new people typically that need training. Even if you're getting guys that are
Hmm.
experienced, like, they're not really experienced. They're because no one's training them. So
Hmm.
you hire this employee that was expensive to get, and then you put all this money into training. And then if you make a lot of changes too fast, my fear was like, okay, they're going to quit, right? They're going to
Hmm.
take this training that I gave them and they're going to go take it somewhere else that isn't going to manage them. So that was always my fear. Like, okay, if I make this too difficult for them and there's too much growth, that they might quit. So in the beginning, that really ran how I made decisions, and I made decisions way too slow until finally, after I visited enough businesses, because once you see it done and you see it in real life, like, it's not a theory anymore. You're like, and once you meet people that are these owners and these managers, and they're not that smart, they're not better than you, they're not
Right.
geniuses, they don't have MBAs, they just graduated high school. Some of them don't even graduate high school. And
Right.
like, if they're able to do this,
Yeah.
I'm able to do this. And that's, I think, what was the differentiator for me, because it's like not a theory. Like, oh, that might work for your business. Like, nope, they're in a similar market. Some of them are in harder markets. They're less
Hmm.
educated. They have less resources, and they're doing this and they're winning. So I'm like, I can't ignore that. That's a fact over feelings. So I think once I saw that, it motivated me that this is what I'm going to do. And I had to make a plan, and I had to be willing to have a backup plan in the meantime. So I made sure I was recruiting on the back end, knowing some of those people were going to turn over. And when they did, I thought it was going to affect the business more negatively than it did. All the employees were like, "Oh, once I'm gone, or you fire me, or I quit, your business is going under." All of them would
Right.
say that. Literally, our business would double as soon as they were gone because the
Yeah, it's so
culture got
funny.
better. The person actually came and followed the process, and I'm just like, "Holy crap! Like, I should have done this sooner. Like, this is
Yeah.
insane." And no, as soon as I started seeing those results, like, I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And the trajectory just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And then when you get people that come into your business that are true culture fits and want to follow your process, like, it just becomes easier. You don't have to micromanage those people. They're not the ones always complaining. They're not asking for 100 raises. They're not calling out sick 24/7. So, like, you don't realize the amount of time that they're adding to your schedule
Hmm.
until you start, getting some good ones in.
Yeah, it's so funny. I can remember there was a season where I was, I would say I'm probably not as far along as you are, so I still have those fears sometimes. But I had this one guy who worked for me for like a little over a year, and he asked me for a raise, and I said, "Look, I'm not giving you a raise. Like, here's the issues that I'm having with you. If you can work on these things and improve them, then we can talk about a raise." And he just basically gave me the ultimatum that if I didn't give him more money, he was going to go start his own business, and his yard signs were going to stop. We're going to start popping up in my town, and he was going to take over all the business and blah 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 blah. And I was like, good for you, man. Go do it. Like, because what you realize, like for me, I've been in business for about to enter into my 10th year. It's like I just realized how hard it is, and I'm like, okay, well, one, you obviously don't realize how hard this is. And then two, on the other side, I'm like, and if you are successful, then good for you, man. You earned it. Like, go do it. But I'm not going to let you stay here if that's the attitude you're going to have. So,
Do you make your employees sign a non-solicit agreement?
no, I don't.
You should. So yeah, it's really important, and that's another thing that too. Like, I am real big on liabilities. Like, I protect us so well with that. It's my mind as a cop, right? Look for threats and
So
eliminate the
explain
threat.
that for like, because I've
Yeah,
actually never heard of it. So
yeah.
if
So
you could.
you can do a non-solicit agreement that they can't solicit employees if they ever leave.
Oh,
And you can
okay,
do a
gotcha,
non-solicit agreement that they cannot talk to your customers, cannot call your customers, they cannot cross promote after they leave your business, regardless
gotcha.
if they go somewhere else. So every single owner should be making their employees sign a non-solicit for employees and for customers, like every single one. Like, you can make it on Claude. Claude could be like an attorney, and you can make it on whatever you use. I like Claude, but every employee should be doing that.
Yeah, that's good. Um, let's jump into this, kind of some of the practical side of things. And, I love, some people may like him, hate him, whatever. I've listened to Tommy Mello for a long time. And I love what he's been able to do with the garage door industry, and, like how he professionalized that, built a training center, built a process for like bringing on guys, training them, and all of that, like, really professional technicians. um you mentioned that you have a what is a state certified apprenticeship program. If you could just kind of jump into that, what does it look like for someone, a new employee, to onboard with your company? What does that process look like? What does their training look like? And how does that experience differ than maybe the unprofessionalized company? And why does it make a difference? And how do you think that it serves your industry and helps raise the standard?
So this is a strong one that I think could help a lot of companies if you start implementing a process like this, because this is how I took back control of not letting employees run my business, and the
Hmm.
ones that want raises and not having to give any of that. We give raises, but they're deserved. They're not like, hey, give me
Right.
this or else. Like, we don't have those conversations. And this is how we get so many people in the door. Like,
Hmm.
man, we get probably like 200 to 300 applications for our apprenticeship program a week.
Oh, wow.
So, because there's not a lot of good paid apprenticeship programs around.
Hmm.
So we could be really nitpicky with these people. I mean, we get some serious talent, and it is so much more, it makes you feel so much more powerful as an owner when you've got 10 people about to graduate this apprenticeship program, and
Hmm.
you can start cycling and coaching out the bad fits, right? Proactively, not
Hmm.
reactively. Reactively is like, oh, something bad happens and we got to fire them.
Right.
You have to start becoming proactive with your recruiting, right? So you should
Hmm.
always be, and you hear it all the time, always be hiring. Like, right, it sounds great, but no, like, seriously, always be seriously hiring. And that's why I love that book Bent, because it teaches you to rate your employees, so 100% who's being coached up and being coached out. There is no in between.
Hmm.
There's not a maybe.
Right.
Like, you're being coached up, you're being coached out. So that, when we added that process, like, that took so much stress off of me, because it's like, oh man, like, we can create our own. We don't even have to rely on finding this experienced pool of people that have the right experience, and hopefully they have the right culture fit too. We call them unicorns. And It's just really unrealistic. I just visited the shop, and they actually call them retreads, like a retread of a tire. It's
Hmm.
really funny because they don't really hire retreads, and they're a $47 million business. They do HVAC and plumbing, and man, amazing business. They started the same time as me, so it's like, oh, I grew fast. No, they're 47 million. They have 8 locations, and they don't hire retreads. You would think a $47 million company. How do they find talent? HVAC professionals, plumbers. They build them. They have an academy
Hmm.
like we do. So we ended up getting registered with the state of Florida. And what that does for you, and you can do this through a company called Career Source of Florida. They're all over. And they will set you up with this for free if you're big enough, right? You have to be large enough to be able to like sponsor candidates to go through your apprenticeship program. You have to be able to have enough candidates. So you have to come up with your own curriculum. You have to have a space where you're going to be able to train them, and you have to dedicate some time towards paid training. Really, it's not that hard. You can create a curriculum with AI. So
Hmm.
they the reason why you'd want to get it is the state will give you funding towards that academy. And if this student is maybe not, maybe they're financially right, they're like 20, 21, 22, they don't have a ton of money saved, they haven't been making a lot of money, they're going to qualify for a grant where Career Source will pay half of their salary for their first 6 months. So you don't want to train someone and waste all your money on them. Like there's programs like this that can pay some
Hmm.
of their salary. Now they have to qualify for that. And do we get every single one to qualify for that? No, but that's a resource that we have that we're not spending as much in our training. And like I
Right.
said, they have grants towards where they can set up a classroom for you. You can get some tools and things like that. So, but you have to have a legitimate program. So while you're small, you're not going to be going towards that. While you're small, you might just want to start with like an apprenticeship program with some structure where they're not just a helper for you for 20 years. Like we don't hire helpers. We never have, we never will. We don't hire
Right.
helpers. Like you're an apprentice to become a junior technician or junior installer in 30 days. So if you don't
Hmm.
become one in 30 days, we're not keeping you. And for those first 30 days, we have a curriculum that I built. So they come in our classroom for 4 hours a day. We have a dedicated trainer, and they do real life skills practice. So they're brazing, they're doing duct systems, they're testing voltages. We have a little classroom that we built. It's not huge. It's the right size. And we even have homework assignments for them. They're video homework assignments because every millennial nowadays has ADHD. So we can't, give them things that they're not going to do. So short little
Right.
video assignments. They have little quizzes at the end they have to complete. If they don't complete their homework that night, they don't get to come in the next day. They're done.
Hmm.
So if they don't show up on time, we send them home. They're done. So we have standards. We don't even allow our employees to smoke. No vaping, no chewing, no cigarettes. In the trades, dude, like that's unheard of. We don't
Yeah.
allow it. Not in the parking lot, not in the company van, not on the job site.
Hmm.
Zero. Guess what? How many problems we have? None. Guess the
Yeah.
quality of employees we get. Great. I'm not saying you're not quality if you use tobacco products, but that's just a standard we have. If you want to do that outside of work on your own time, we don't care, right? We're not going to allow
Hmm.
you to drink on the job. Why are we going to allow you to smoke on the job? Again, like, and then also we're testing people's indoor air quality in their home as we're like adding, VOCs to their home, cigarette smoke. So it's
Right.
like, it's just not a good look.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that program will graduate someone into a junior technician in 30 days. And they typically are out on the road. And then we have further training to get them to a senior level and a lead level. And now we came up with that progress there. And we invested in a full-time trainer when it was just too much on the managers. And we saw the program did really well. If you look at the results of our KPIs on Service Titan, that's our CRM,
Hmm.
on an experienced employee, maybe here 2 years versus a brand new, a junior maintenance tech that just graduated the program, they double our experienced employees because they're
Yeah.
full in on the process. They follow the process. They have a good attitude and they kill it. Here's the reality though. And I want to say this to everybody. And I know I've been talking a long time, but I want you to know the reality. The trades is hard as shit. Some of your employees are not going to be 5-year, 10-year, 20-year employees anymore. That day is done, right? In reality, you're going to burn out a lot of these young guys because they don't really want to do it. They're trying it out. So when you have an academy like this is ongoing every 30 days, so you're producing these people, you're not
Hmm.
so depressed when these people burn out, even though you took really good care of them, even though you paid them really well. In reality, I know that's what it is like in the trades today. You're not going to get people that are going to work for you for 10, 20 years anymore. That's done. So have realistic expectations and you won't be disappointed.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Now, Yeah, obviously, I mean, I don't know if what your opinion is on this, but is somebody who is in a trade that I feel like is under professionalized. When I hear what you're saying, I'm like, holy crap, what an uphill battle. Um, what encouragement or what things like for trades like landscaping, lawn care, painting, what advice would you have to those trades on professionalizing their industry? Do you think that we need to adopt like the same things and do it the exact same way? What kind of advice would you have when getting that started? It's frankly, like I'm knowledgeable of we have what's called the PCA in the painting world. So um they're kind of like the regulators of the painting industry and trying to like professionalize it. But I know some of the leaders, right? Nick Slavic, Jason, I can't remember his last name, but they have these their own thoughts on how to professionalize it. And I'll be honest, like a lot of it seems to kind of revolve around like just trying to have better pricing that's dialed in. And then they also like a lot of them run like subcontractor models, which I hate,
Same,
where they're huh
same.
yeah, it's like I just like, how do you professionalize a industry if you're just going to build it off of subcontracting? Like I don't know, it just doesn't seem right to me. Um but anyway, yeah, if you could share your perspective like from like an industry like mine, like what advice
If I
would you
was in
give?
landscaping, I would destroy all those landscapers. Not not trying to be cocky because I
No,
know
no,
what
I
customers want. Like I'm
yeah.
a marketer, right? Like you see the branding, I built all this branding. Everyone
Mhm.
knows our trucks in our area. Like
Yeah.
it's not a surprise. I built the branding that way. People think we're private equity. They think we're a corporation, right? Because like
Yeah.
it looks really professional. Like, oh man, that thing looks well run. So if your landscaping business looks like Chuck in a truck, just one guy with a cigarette in his mouth, like that, you don't know is going to show up this week or next week. Like, yeah, people are going to be willing to pay a certain price for that, and it's not going to be a lot. It's not going to be enough for you to sustain the business. You're going to break even every single month. It's going to be stressful. Look at companies that are successful in the world, right? Look at Starbucks. Even Dunkin' Donuts they're okay, but like I won't go to Dunkin' Donuts because it's a joke. They're unprofessional. They get your drink wrong. Like I don't think they're like the best consistency with their coffee. Like my wife kind of likes it sometimes, but most of the time she hates it. So like maybe one out of 10, she's like, it's a good drink. Starbucks is consistent. I'm bougie with coffee, so I don't even really drink that much anymore. I'll drink like an espresso at like a private coffee shop because I want to invest
Mhm.
in a local business. But if I'm going to a chain, it's going to be Starbucks because they're professional. It's consistent. I will pay more money. I will pay double the price versus going to Dunkin' Donuts and getting a shitty experience. So
Mhm.
customers care about the experience. That is the number one thing they care about, right? The
Mhm.
product has to be good too, but the first thing is the experience. Is the experience really well when they show up in a beat up truck with a plumber's crack, dirty, smelly, huge beard? Your wife, the wives are usually the ones at home, the ones that deal with the contractors that feel unsafe. Like they don't want you in their home. They don't
Mhm.
trust you. They're not going to buy from you typically unless you're the cheapest person ever. And then they don't even care if the value's good and you're not even making any money at that job. You should have stayed home. I mean, what's the point in going to someone's home and making no money and doing all this work and busting your ass when you could have stayed home and made no money anyways? So it's like in reality, it's ridiculous. So
Mhm.
um, I would just look at it like any company that you do business with. Like you want someone that's professional, that has standards, that you trust. And it's no different in landscaping and in painting. And what we do is we compare ourselves to, oh, well, I'm going against those guys that are unprofessional. They're much cheaper. There's always going to be a cheaper price. That's not going to go away, right? There's always going to be
Mhm.
handymen. I'm not competing with handymen. I understand that my trade has some licensing that maybe, a handyman can do some stuff for painting and some stuff for landscaping. But again, if you don't add enough services to your business to protect yourself. So if I'm doing landscaping, obviously I'm gonna do tree trimming too. I'm gonna do bushes. I'm gonna do where I fertilize and I spray. I might tack on some pest control if I can get a license in that too. You saw my model where I added on plumbing and I added on electric. I want to stay in the home. The goal is to stay in the home. If you get the right customer that wants someone that's professional and does a good job, stay in their home. if you do this one tiny service and you need thousands and hundreds of thousands of customers and you have to hit so many doors, it's going to be a really hard business model. So
Hmm.
I would recommend that you make your service a little bit more wider so you can stay in those really good customers' homes and you don't have to fight so many of those low bidders, because the customers that love you will keep spending money with you. And
Right.
I can tell you, if there's not a lot of people professional in the painting and the landscaping industry, and you are the one that is, there is a guaranteed market that wants you. And you just have to find those customers and be good at marketing. And then once you get those customers, stay in their home.
Yeah. I think we've done decent. I think it's like it's a different challenge that we face because I'm trying to be honestly one of those leaders of that change in my industry, and professionalizing it. So there's a lot of things that I'm doing that I look around and I see a lot of my competitors or even people in this local market that I know that they're not doing, but I'm trying to be like the one who sets that standard. Um, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because I'm like, man, I just want to try to get this information out to our industry of like, hey, you don't have to stay that way. You don't have to do business the way that it's always been done. You can be one of the people who brings change to your industry and professionalizes it. And man, if just more people could understand that, like I feel like I would be better off if I could go out and help, 5, 10 companies in my local area, help them professionalize, because I feel like it just helps elevate the expectation even that homeowners have, right? Instead of, me showing up and, please, if you don't agree with what I'm about to say, please share your opinion because I respect what you say. But when I show up, it's almost like I feel like my customers look at me and think like, wow, that's nice, but it's unnecessary. Or
What do they think is unnecessary?
I'm saying, like if I show up, if it, I show up to my bids in a polo and slacks, and I try to look nice and presentable, and all my vehicles are wrapped, and we try to present a professional experience. The way that I feel about it currently is that customers may look at us and they don't understand the value that that brings and why we're so much different than the guy who shows up in the like in a painter's shirt and painter's whites and in their work truck that's beat up. So I guess I'm
Not your
just
customer, Brandon.
right.
That's what you need to look at. That's not your customer. You can't make everybody happy. This is what we do. That's what I failed in business in the beginning. And this is the part of professionalizing. Like, what do I do? You can't make everyone happy. If you're a people pleaser and
Hmm.
you're a business owner, fucking run or change, right? Like, don't stay
Right.
a business owner because you won't make any money, right?
Hmm.
Stop being a people pleaser. Who cares if people hate everything about your polo and your slacks and your wrapped vehicle? Those aren't
Hmm.
your customers. I don't care what their feedback is. They're not my customers. The ones that
Right.
are buying from you are your customers. So if you go to someone's house and you provide an estimate, is that a customer?
Well, I would say not yet. No.
Yeah. Well, some people see them as a customer, right? They'll put more direct mail to them. They'll have more marketing campaigns to them, even if they never bought from them. Like, and
Hmm.
again, like, so it's like they're not a customer, right? That not yet. They didn't buy anything. So,
Hmm.
right? Maybe start getting from your customers that are buying from you. Why did you buy from me? Oh, we loved how professional you were, and all the other ones were smoking cigarettes outside of our door, and the bids weren't detailed. We didn't even know what they were going to do. We didn't know what type of paint they were using. We didn't know they didn't even say warranty. So
Hmm.
like, find out from the customers that do like you what they like about you, and that will reinforce that you're doing the right things, right? But getting feedback from people that are your customers, they're not even your customers. So like, that feedback is worthless.
Yeah. It's funny. I've just been kind of mulling over what you're talking about right now, even recently. And I was talking to I don't know if you know the realtor Zach Spurlock. He's a pretty high. He only sells like luxury, super high end real estate in our area, and he's been feeding me some referrals. Um, and so I'll go out and I'll bid these jobs that are in like what is it? Uh, is it it's that area down in Melbourne Beach. It's like a
Lansing Island,
that one, but I think there's
John's
another one.
Island.
is it Loggerhead or something, Turtle Island or something? I don't know. But anyway, they're down there in that Melbourne beach area, and so I've gone into these bids. I'm like, these are multi-million dollar homes, and I'm thinking like, oh, this is my ideal customer. They're going to understand the value and the professionalism that I bring. And then they're like, hey, can you get this done in 2 weeks? I'm like, no, I'm booked 6 to 8 weeks out. I'm like super busy. And I'm trying to present our professionalism. I like give them a price and they like bulk at it. I'm like, dude, I've got people who live in, $500,000 to $1 million homes who don't even question my pricing. Who, like, when I show up and I say, hey, we're booked 6 to 8 weeks out, they're like, oh yeah, that's fine, we'll wait. And so I'm like trying to wrap my head around like why, because I was like, man, this is going to be it for me. I'm going to get into this market and these people are going to understand. I'm like, man,
I've got a really good resource for you and anyone listening to this podcast. So there's a website called melissa.com.
Mm-hmm.
Now, melissa.com is a data aggregator that has a lot of information about homeowners in our area. So hopefully most of the people that listen to this podcast use a CRM, so CRM holds all your customers' data, who you sold to, how much you sold to them for. If you've been in business, you said 10 years. So you can say, all right, in the last 10 years, here's all the people that bought from me. You can even say, let's say a big ticket for you might be like $4,000, right? Or a whole house. I don't know what it costs to paint a whole house, but for me, like maybe I'm looking at they at least bought a system. So I might say minimum $8,000. So anyone that spent $8,000 with me in the last 10 years. So I'm going to throw that list into melissa.com. They have something called Listware. So you can take that Excel file from your CRM, you could put it into Listware. It's going to tell you all the demographics of that customer. It's going to tell you the best zip codes that you do business in. It's going to tell you the age range, right? Who's the head of the household? How old are they? It's going to tell you how much income they make. And then it's going to tell you who your ideal customer is. I know who my ideal customer is. They're typically 55 plus. They make about 80 grand plus. They're not making $500,000, right? I know my target age of my home. I know how much the home costs. I know if there's children in the home. I know if there's seniors in the home. Typically, our customer has children in the home and seniors in the home. Why do you think our ideal customer might have children or seniors in the home, Brandon?
Well, I would say that it's probably because they have, there's more of like the HVAC becomes more of like an emergency for them.
They care about doing it the right way. That's our mission, caring to do it the right way. They literally align with our mission. Like they're like, we care that we want this done right. We don't want someone to do this unsafe and like they burn our house down. Like we want to trust this company. So there's a lot of single people out there that we're not advertising to them. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that are making $1 million a year. We're not advertising to them, right? They're going to get a construction manager to get a sub to do it cheap as possible because that's how they want to go about it, because this might be their 16th rental property. They're not even living in it, right? So like, this is why I'm probably not going to go after rental properties. We're going to go after, owner occupied. I'm sure you know this too. So like, it's like property management, like that's going to be a different profile. Is property management willing to pay as much as someone that lives in that home?
No.
Right. So like when you start looking at it this way and you figure out who your ideal customer is and you create that profile. And I gave this advice to another HVAC company in Oregon because I coach people for free because I want to help the industry as well, like you. And it was cool. They after they figured out their ideal customer, it was like the 45-year-old like dad, like the engineer. Like they had even had like a name for him. I forget what it was. So like they had this like really good profile. And now what you can do, because direct mail still works, is you could do a neighborhood search in those zip codes that you make the most money in, and you could literally find the demographics of the people that are in those homes, and you can direct mail straight to them. And we do something really cool where we get robots. I might have a letter here I could show you. So we get robots to handwrite the addresses on here, so it looks like a handwritten letter.
Yeah.
And inside of there's a letter written by the owner with a magnet and a sticker. And you can do this pretty much in any trades that I know some people will throw like the plastic business card with a rock in the driveway. That just pisses people off sometimes,
Right.
door hangers sometimes piss people off. So like this
Yeah.
doesn't make people that mad. They're like, okay, this looks like a personal letter for someone. I'm not going to throw this right in the trash. Postcards go right in the trash. And then they open it up. And if it's a genuine short written letter from the owner that just says, hey, just to let you know, we work with neighbors. We're giving this offer, 10% off, whatever it is, free inspection, whatever you do. Make sure it's a really strong offer. And yeah, I mean, you could add a sticker in there, a magnet. People put magnets on their fridge, and it's not expensive. And this could be time consuming. If you have the time, you can handwrite all these. If you have a really targeted list, but we have a company that the robots actually handwrite them on there, and the amount we get from direct mail is great because we're not playing the Google PPC game. So all that we're talking about, Brandon, is it's marketing, right? Like if you
Yeah.
have a strong marketing plan and you know who to market to, you won't be dealing with this identity crisis of like, do I become professional? Do I stay the same? Do I do what everybody else is doing? No, hell no. Stop. Be
Yeah.
an individual. People want things that are an experience that are different. We talked about that. People will pay tons of money for Disney. People will pay double the price for Starbucks.
Mhm.
But you have to have a stronger plan, and you have to only go after customers that are your profile. And if you think that you need to go after every customer, you're going to be wasting your time.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. I've used some different programs in the past, like send out letters was one that I used for doing something similar to what you do. And then there's some through our CRM. We actually use Jobber, but they have like Postcard Mania and things like that that you can connect with. So I'm just curious, which service do you use for doing yours?
I use a company called Pen Letters
Okay.
for that, and we don't do postcards to new customers because they usually get thrown in the trash. We used to do like the geofence ones, you did a house and
Hmm.
you hit all the neighbors. We stopped doing that.
Okay.
The reason why is because you could have had people in those homes where they were the renters, like they didn't
Yeah.
even live there, they didn't have the right income, the demographics. So like we stopped. So we do new homeowners because those are great people that want to do things right and get their house set. So we do new homeowners. That does really well. And then we target those zip codes that we do really well. And then we only hit the demographics that match it on melissa.com.
Gotcha. That's great. So I'm assuming that inside of pen letters, they give you the ability to just put in all the demographics that you want, and then you just send. And does
So
it connect to?
melissa.com, I get all my, well, pen letters will do the list for you, but I'm OCD control freak. So I go on melissa.com and I get my own list and I just send it to them.
Gotcha.
So
Does it
melissa.com,
connect to?
you can do all yourself. There's no contract. It's not expensive. It's information. So like the first thing you need to do is figure out your ideal customer, right? And that could be
Mhm.
length, that could be they spent a minimum amount of this, it could be amount of purchase. You can decide what that is. Upload that into listware and melissa.com. It'll tell you the demographics of your ideal customer. And then you could take that info that it gives you, you can throw that into AI or ChatGPT and said, hey, from this information, tell me who my ideal customer is. It's going to literally tell you that.
Yeah. Um, I want to be respectful of your time. We've got about 7 more minutes to go over some things. Um, One of the things that I've been really impressed with you guys, and you mentioned this earlier, is your brand. And so if we could just close out for a minute and talk about that, because that's something that I worked really hard on in the last year and a half, on going from just having like all white vans and trucks to where I have been working on wrapping every single one of my vehicles one by one. So, um, and I got my inspiration originally from Dan Antonelli. I had him on my podcast, and I read his book and took a lot of advice from him. I didn't use KickCharge to do my brand. I've done everything myself, actually. But I just want to get some of your thoughts on how important that is for professionalism, and yeah, just kind of end us out talking about that, maybe some of your philosophies on your brand and how important that is.
It's funny you said that because I'm in the same spot. I read his book. I wanted to use him, but at the point I couldn't afford it. So I created my own and it grew over time, right? Like, so probably rebranded 3 times myself, did it myself. Obviously, we started out at Climate Experts Air and Heat, just HVAC.
Hmm.
And I just had this cheap, drawn out penguin, like just blue. It was just, it didn't stand out. We had a white truck, with like the magnet and the logo. Like you couldn't tell us from a mile away. I put the manufacturer logos on my truck like a dummy. Like I'm gonna get co-op. Like you're just dumb. Like when people look at those vans, they see like Train, Carrier. Like what is that? What's the company though? Like I see like the manufacturer on there. So
Right.
I did all the wrong things. And then I read his book and I learned, and I rebranded to Climate Experts Air and Heat. And that's when I kind of got my main colors. We first were blue, like a royal blue, navy blue, and red. And I also learned that was cliche because you think about AC, it's like hot and cold. Everyone's blue and red. And I'm like, crap, I messed that
Yeah.
up. But then when I added plumbing and electric, I rebranded again. And that's where I added kind of the yellow for electric and the teal. I mean, our trucks are pretty unique now. Not many people have the yellow stripe and the teal and the blue. So like now when we're driving around, you can tell it's our trucks. It's not
Oh yeah.
even though the blue and the red, when we had the full wrap trucks in it, we were different, but it just differentiated us even more. And I read this book, Pink Goldfish, and I recommend anybody read it. It's a really good branding book. And it talks about being unique. And like there talks about a company that had all pink trucks. Like everyone knew that brand, and they even aligned it to like breast cancer. So like there was more of like an emotional feeling behind it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when I read that book, I was like, wow, like I knew a lot of the tactics, but I think too many of us try to look like cool or tough, or like, I got military camo on my vans. Like I got the strong man on my, like, if it looks scary, like most of your business is going to be approved by women.
Right.
Like, and I did this wrong with my social media too, with my branding. Like I got my branding down to where like it did really well. And then my social media in the beginning, like it wasn't really tailored towards like women wanting to like feel like we were approachable. It was like tailored towards like men and like construction. And
Yeah.
there's just a lower barrier of entry. Like I deal with residential. So like if I was like a subcontractor dealing with contractors and I wanted to impress them, sure. But like I needed to like educate homeowners in a way that made them feel safe so that what they'd want to use us and feel comfortable with the process. So when I created my brand, I wanted it to be friendly. I mean, you see our mascot, we have a big Jack Penguin, but he's smiley. He's like, name is Chili. And I did that just because like, I think, we grew up, a lot of our generation, millennials, with like Disney, cartoons, and it just makes us feel good. I've had people call my office line and leave a voicemail and say like, hey, I just want to let you know, every time I drive by your shop and I see your mascot, it just makes me smile.
Dude,
Like,
I had that happen for the first time last year.
right? Like
Yeah.
how cool is that? Like that you're just making people's day better just by like your branding and your logo, and like it pays for itself. We get so many calls where people just call because they see our vans. And then again, like it could be hard to track, but like if you track that, you're going to make money just on them calling to see your brands. But also you might have 3 vans on the road. Now everyone recognizes your vans. They're going to like be like, well, your vans are everywhere. I see them everywhere. And you're like, in your mind, you're like, I only have 3 vans.
Yeah.
I think you have like 20. And they're like, wow, they must be good at their job because like I see them everywhere. So like, and then obviously branding will just lower your marketing expense like by far, because if they're doing branded keyword searches of your business, it's so much cheaper than the AC repair near me or painting near me. So I mean, it helps on all aspects.
Yeah. I after reading Dan's book, there was something in there he had a graph that showed like the 6 months where like when somebody rebranded, and showed like their Google Analytics and how there's just this huge curve upward. And that happened for us. As soon as I got the vehicles wrapped and rebranded, it was like within a couple months, I noticed that our Google organic traffic just started skyrocketing. And that's been huge for us because then, really all of our organic Google and everything just went up. Like we were getting way more calls. And I thought it was really funny that you mentioned like people calling you just to like mention your mascot. Like I had that happen for the first time last year, and I got a voicemail, and it was this lady, and she's like, hey, I saw your van, saw the seal, and I was having a bad day. And I just wanted to let you know, when I saw the seal, it made me smile and like turned my day around. And I was like, that is so random, but cool. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah. So,
I mean, you know what, like what you're saying about your industry, right? That there's not a lot of people professionalizing. That's freaking great for you. My
But
industry,
yeah, I know.
they're all doing it. So then I'm less unique.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm just, if you could be the one in landscaping and painting and, that's unique, that can stand out. Like I'd even look at like Slugabug. Slugabug, dude, they're locally owned. They're doing so well. And look at them. They're very professional, right? They got the polos, like their vans are wrapped.
Hmm.
Like everyone in our area knows them. Like they compete against the big conglomerates and they do freaking well. So
That's
like
so funny. I didn't know that they were local. I thought they were like a big, what's,
private equity, no, they're 100% locally owned.
wow, I didn't, yeah.
Yeah, they
That's,
kill it. They really take care of their employees. Like, yeah, I really like that company.
yeah, it's amazing how like you mentioned like people think that you're private equity. I'll be honest with you, I thought you were when I think you even like we had a brief exchange on social media where I thought you were and you like kind of told me like no, we're not. Um but yeah, we get that too. Like a lot of people ask me if I'm like a franchise because of our brand and I'm like, no, just I just care and I want to make us look really professional. So in some ways, it's a compliment. And yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for another time about what your thoughts are on private equity. We don't have enough time to go down that
No,
rabbit
we don't
trail
have enough
today.
time for that. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, I want like I said, I want to be respectful of your time and I really appreciate it. I think you brought a lot of value today. Honestly, I'd be interested in maybe offline trying to schedule a follow-up interview and to dive into these topics even more. Maybe we can talk about private equity in that conversation. But yeah, I just appreciate it. Usually when I wrap up, I just open up the floor. If there's anything that you wish you could have said or feel like you didn't get the opportunity to mention or talk about, I just give you the last couple minutes to bring it to a close and then I'll close out.
Yeah, what I would close out with is, any business owner in any trade, I would recommend that you find a mentor or someone you respect that lives a life that you want to live, right? So, like, if you got kids and you're going after the guy that's single, driving the Ferrari, that's all fake, right? Running Airbnbs and taking videos of himself with his coaching plan, like that's been in and out of jail. Like, find a real mentor that you respect, right? Like, if you're a family man, like that is home with his family, that takes care of his family, that takes care of his employees, that actually makes money, right? Everyone says
Right.
revenue, but profit, right?
Hmm.
Like it's a nice person that wants to help you, right? Like I'd say find a mentor because if you don't have one, and find them in your industry, like or the closest that you can to your industry, like and believe me, they're out there. Like don't say they're not out there. They're out there, right? Find them and then just make friends with them. I think in this industry, like we see each other as competition, and it's sad. Like it doesn't need to be that way. When I stopped that mentality when I joined Nextstar because it forced me to, I was
Hmm.
like, wait, what? Like we're in a group together where I have a competitor like an hour away that's competing with me, and we're supposed to like be a part of the same thing. Like when I shifted that mentality and the competition went
Hmm.
away, like, oh my God, dude, it got so much easier. And then I just
Yeah.
used those resources and now I have friends and now we help each other out. And I just say change that mentality, like have a mentor, make friends in this industry. We've got painters we refer, pest control companies. We're in attics every day and like they tear up ductwork. We're friends with all these trades, like even other
Hmm.
HVAC companies. We don't do commercial. I refer someone to commercial work. He refers me residential.
Yeah.
When we're super busy and they're in our market, I'll refer stuff like over. So
Yeah.
I just get out of that competition mindset. Like we're all in this together. There's enough customers for all of us, especially the ones that want to do it right. But like find a mentor that you actually respect and follow their model. Like obviously they've done it. It's not impossible.
Yeah. That's really good. I'm a huge advocate for coaching. I've had multiple. I That's honestly how I've gotten to where I am is through coaching and being a part of different programs like that. And so, I definitely agree with that. Well, thank you again, Derek, for your time. For those of you who have listened to this episode, I hope that you found it helpful and hopefully you got some good takeaways. As always, implement what you're hearing. Really, that's where the change happens is when you take action with what you hear. So, if there was something that you took from this episode, write it down and put together a plan to take action on it. If you are listening on YouTube, please like this, share it, comment, share your feedback. If you are listening on any other major podcast platform, please rate and review the show. That helps us to reach more people. And if you need resources for your business, as always, check the show notes below. If you use my affiliate links, I do greatly appreciate it, as I do get credit for that. And it does help to support what I'm doing here with the Off the Ladder podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of the Off the Ladder podcast.